What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and one of the biggest questions I get is, Chandler, in 2019, I'm having the hardest time finding good deals. No matter whether I'm looking on the MLS, talking with my realtor, trying to find off-market stuff, it's so difficult to find a good deal on an investment property. I wanna talk about some of the things I've done to find incredible deals on properties, even in a market that's very competitive with other investors. So let's jump into it. The first one I wanna talk about, this is actually a duplex that I bought this year. And for me to say that I'm not frustrated because I'm having a hard time finding deals would be a lie. I was able to pick up this duplex this year, 2019, for $125,000. Right now, it's renting for $500 in the basement unit and $750 in the upstairs unit that has the attached garage. So I'm actually cash flowing extremely well, especially because I was able to pick it up on a loan with 25% down with extremely low rates. The other thing that's really nice is my downstairs tenant takes care of the property. So they're mowing the lawn, taking care of the shrubs, bushes, flowers. And as you can see, they're doing a really good job at it. They're able to keep it looking nice. And we actually got hit with a hailstorm right before I purchased the property. So part of the deal was they're going to replace the entire roof with their insurance company's money. And so we just bought the property. The roof hasn't been fixed yet, but it's in the deal and we're getting them in here this next month, not paid for by me. So now not only do I have a property with good tenants that's cash flowing extremely well, it's got nicer, somewhat newer siding. Everything looks super clean inside. We did the inspection and it came out awesome. So I'm gonna share with you how I was able to get this deal and some of the other things that I'm doing to be able to continually find good deals that I'm bringing in. As you know, whenever I'm buying a property, it needs to be in a place that's gonna get good appreciation, but that's not the reason that I'll purchase them. I'm purchasing for cash flow. And with this property, not only did I get it at a great deal where I think I'll be able to increase rents over the next year, there's gonna be a ton of instant equity if I were to sell right now. Because there are other duplexes in this area and I'm not seeing any of them sell for under $150,000. When you can find deals that are really good, it's awesome because if you did want to flip tenants or raise rents and then turn around and sell it, even 6 months later, you could build up a ton of equity and do that. My goal is to find good units that can cash flow forever for me. So I'm continuing to get that appreciation. I know that equity is locked away and getting bigger every year. And I'm in a situation where I know I'm gonna be able to raise rents, but even at the current rents, it's a killer deal on this property because of the ways that I've been able to find good deals. So my target seller that I look for in situations like this is someone that's owned the property forever. Someone that has a lot of pride in the property, so they're keeping it nice. They're going to replace the roof, like I said, but everything else is super clean. And that's because they've done a great job taking care of it. The other thing with old-time investors is when they originally purchased the property, I'm sure they were gung-ho about making sure they hit market rents or above. If they've owned a property for 10, 15 years, usually they've gotten to a comfortable cap rate or cash-on-cash return with rents that are substantially below market. But they don't care because they're happy with their return. That leaves me an opportunity to not only come in and negotiate for 1%, but within the year to be able to bump up the rents to market value. So now I'm capitalizing on an incredible deal on a property to where my cash on cash return is through the roof within a year on a property that's super clean that I was able to pick up for a steal. There are a couple phrases I use with sellers like this that make sure that I get a killer deal. First off, I'm gonna say, look, I really wanna be fair with you. I wanna make sure that I'm buying this at the 1% rule or better so that you know at least I'm getting taken care of, but then I also can make sure that I'm being fair with you. They've heard the 1% rule, which is that a month's rent equals 1% of what they're trying to sell the property for. So this property, they already had a tenant at $500 in the basement, at $750 upstairs, so that's gonna put them at $125,000 according to the 1% rule, because a lot of people are buying substantially above that rule. Not to mention the fact that it's an older property, so my taxes are lower, and in Idaho, I don't have to claim that I purchased the property for more than what they had originally bought it for. Just at the 1% rule, if you can buy that in this market, you've got a killer deal. You will never, in this market right now, be able to find a property to sell according to the 1% rule, because everyone wants more. They know the market's hot and they know that investment properties are going for a premium. So right away, I've already gotten a killer deal and a lot of equity because I could turn around and sell it for more with the same rents and the same situation. But what's really comfortable for a first-time investor is if you're investing where you grew up, you know the areas and it's easier to feel good about investing in a certain spot because you've kind of seen the trends, you know where the neighborhood's going, you know what it's been through, and you know what to expect. And this is a neighborhood that definitely isn't an upper end income neighborhood, but it's a good neighborhood, a clean neighborhood. The homes are pretty well taken care of, and it's close to where I grew up, and I know there are great people here, and I've been able to find really good tenants over here. So in this video, I want to share some of the tricks and tips I use to be able to find deals like this. So we've already talked about what I look for in the person I want to buy from. I love buying from older investors. Now, does that mean those are the only people that I buy properties from? Of course not. I'm always looking in different avenues, but I found those to be the easiest and the best deals. I'm always looking at for sale by owner properties. And so what I did on this one is about 2 years ago, I saw that it was for sale, and it was for sale by owner. I saw it just from driving through the neighborhood because I'm always checking out these neighborhoods that I like buying in. Now, when I saw that for sale sign, I called them up and I kind of negotiated a price that I felt was good. But I was at a situation where I'd spent a lot of my money on property and this didn't have quite the return that I was wanting. They were still 2 years ago wanting it for $125,000. So I talked to my parents, I put it in front of them, put it in front of some friends. Nobody felt that comfortable going through with it, but I saved the information. Now, 2 years later, okay, we've now had crazy appreciation in properties and rents have exploded. So what I did on this duplex is I ended up calling back the investor. I'd saved her number and I said, hey, I know we kind of bailed on you last time. We decided the deal wouldn't work, but would you be willing to sell it for the same price you originally said? And she said, I don't know, like I know the market is good. I've heard people talk about it. I said, yeah, no, you're right, it's good, but I mean, have your rents changed? And she said, no, they're still the same. And I said, well, look, I mean, let us pay at the 1% rule. Let's work something out. And I would love to do it with you. I want to make sure that I'm super easy to deal with. We won't have to get a realtor involved. I've worked with a title company here in town that I'm close with. Let's see if we can put it together. So within the month, we were able to lock it in, get it done. And so now we're in this killer deal because I had approached her before and I'd stayed in contact with her. Always take care of your reputation, keep those connections, and make sure that you're recording all of that so that then when you're driving through a neighborhood on a deal you passed on a couple years ago, if it's the same owner and they decide not to sell it like she did, you can call up and have a situation like that. I want to share a couple other ways that I've been able to find deals in a harder market. I'm hoping this one helped give you one example, but then let's hit on a couple others before we wrap up the video. Oh man. Driving while recording is probably not the safest thing ever. When I look on the MLS, everything is way overpriced for something that I would ever even consider buying. And what's nuts about it is in our market right now, people are buying above the asking price. And the asking price I wouldn't even pay. I drive neighborhoods a lot. It's one of my favorite pastimes to go and get my wife and our son. And after we go out to dinner or something, we'll just go drive through neighborhoods that I would like to own properties in. And you'd be blown away by how many people you just come across that are just putting up a for sale by owner sign. The other thing is if I ever see properties that say for rent, I'll usually call on them and I'll see if I can get a hold of the actual owner. That way I can talk to them and say, look, we're looking for a property, the market's great, what would you be willing to do? That's another way to get in with older tenants. Us, now, we don't do things that way. We throw it online and we have people come and say, hey, we want the property. But a lot of the older generation is still putting up signs. And so if I can see for rent signs and it's not by an actual company, I love calling on those, saying, hey, I saw that it was for rent. You know, is there any way that you'd consider selling it? And then I'll go and use some of those phrases like the 1% rule and everything else that we talked about to try and win them over and negotiate a good deal. If I see a really clean property, like an older fourplex or duplex that's from the 60s, but it's like immaculate, I'm going to go and knock on the door and say, hey, who is it that takes care of the property for you? Do you deal with the actual owner? If they say yes, I'm gonna call them up. Now, if they have a management company, you can still go through the management company. Just sometimes it takes a lot more work and it's harder, you got a lot more failure, but that's part of the game. Those are two great ways to try and get a hold of someone and say, look, I don't know what your situation is, but the market is in a great position right now, and I'm looking for a property because I'm sitting on money, I'm a new real estate investor, I really want to get into it, and I just fell in love with your property. I can tell that you've taken better care of it than anyone else on the street, and I want to pay accordingly, but I wanted to at least see if it's something that you would be interested in selling. Another thing that I will do is I'm constantly looking online, places like Craigslist, Zillow, the MLS. And so if I see that it looks like their rents are way low, even though it's listed way high for what their rents are, that's something that's going to catch my eye, and I'm going to go and see if there's a way that I can capitalize on that. If it's got the square footage, maybe I can work a deal where someone else wouldn't want to deal with something that does have more work. And that's a deal that can require more time, effort, energy, but if you get good at it, it's another place you can pick up good deals. One of the biggest things that I've used to find good deals lately is just constantly putting on social media that I'm a real estate investor and letting people know about it. You'll be blown away by how many people call you up and just say, hey, Chandler, I saw you're investing. I've got this deal. Is it something you'd be interested in? Now, you'll get a lot of calls of people that are wanting to sell a property, and obviously it's not a good deal. But if you're the guy that people are calling and they're talking about you, it's incredible how many good deals can come. Or talk to your friends, talk to your family, put it out there. You'll be blown away how that brings you opportunity. And once you get the first one, it's a lot less embarrassing to tell people that, but you don't get the first one unless you start doing these things so that you can find it. Don't get discouraged and give up. I did a lot of these things for over a year before I finally pulled in my first deal. And looking back, there are a lot of deals that slipped through my fingers that now I would have closed, but I was insecure, I didn't completely know what a good deal was, and I didn't know how to close a deal, I didn't know how to put one together. And so early on, it's going to be easy to get discouraged and frustrated and upset, but just remember, it's all part of the plan. And even now, I have those moments where it's like, oh crap, what am I doing with my life? But it's a long game plan. Those that succeed in real estate investing are those that not only don't get discouraged, but they find new ways to get through those problems. They get creative. Today, I was just thinking about it. I have missed so many incredible deals. Last year, I passed on 2 fourplexes that I'm just kicking myself over. It's something you need to say, wow, I learned something from that, and that's a deal that I'm gonna lock in the future that I wouldn't have otherwise. So just recognize this is a great time for you to go and find good deals. Put these tricks to work, and I promise you, you're gonna be able to build a huge passive income for yourself. So if you guys enjoyed the video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos, where it's my goal to help you create a huge passive income for yourself. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Just about ran into that car, but... Oh, man.